Well, hey there everybody, Ugly Mug with you once again for another video. This time, I'm going to be putting in some LEDs in my engine compartment this time. Now, as you might have noticed in my last video, if you watch my videos, you would have noticed that I just did some LEDs in the front and rear trunks and also the footwells. Well, at the time, I had been contemplating what I want to do with the engine compartment. So I finally came up with a solution. I found some LEDs, some RGBs, some people call them, at West Coast Corvette's website, which happens to be the same site where I found the first ones. But at the time, they didn't really have them on the website, so when they run out, they just don't have them posted, so you think they don't have them. In fact, when I checked the website today, they were no longer there, so they must have sold out. So I was really lucky to get them. But at this time, they're on the way, and I'm hoping to have them by the end of the week. So with that being said, I'm going to be doing this installation on the same video for you, just to kind of show you and take you for the ride, to see what it takes to have them installed, and to describe them. This one's going to be powered by a battery pack that's rechargeable. So when you recharge it, you should be able to get about 7 hours of use, which is perfect because that's way more than what I would need at a particular car show where I'm going to be using them. Most of the time it's the daytime anyway, I wouldn't be using them, but when it gets into the night, 7 hours is plenty. In fact, it'll get me through multiple shows through one charge. And another option I chose for this one was you get to operate it with a Bluetooth from your phone. Now, they did have another option where you can get a remote that came with it, but that was just more to have to keep track of as far as batteries was concerned, and that's just something that could have been lost. So I chose to go with the Bluetooth route and give myself the option to operate them with my phone. So when we get to the installation, of course, I'll take you with me and we'll see how everything goes. The nice part is it doesn't have to be wired to the car. You might have noticed this little piece of hardware over my shoulder here. Well, recently I was at a car show at Old Town, Kissimmee, which is right outside of Orlando. Those of you who are familiar with Orlando, Kissimmee is of course near Disney, and you locals know exactly where Old Town is. Now, every Friday, they do a muscle car show that runs from about 3 p.m. to about 10 or 11 at night. Every Friday they do muscle cars. And then on Saturdays, they do classics, roughly around the same time. Well, about twice a year, they take one Saturday and they bring all the classics and the muscle cars together. And it's one big show. This particular year, I think we had about 271 cars, if I'm not mistaken, at the show. And it was probably a pretty good split between the classics and the muscle cars. And with that show, which I didn't even realize at the time, they were going to be judging. And that's what made this even more of a surprise to me, because I didn't realize until I was there, or I might have forgotten, that they were going to be judging the cars for Best in Show. They had two categories, one for the classic cars and one for the muscle cars. Well, again, to my pleasant surprise, I was able to walk away with second place on the Best of Show in the muscle car category. Now, let's be for real about this, okay? There are a whole lot of cars that could have won it, and I was just happy to be able to be recognized with my car. So I'm going to pull this trophy out so you can kind of get a little bit of a better look at it, and it's going to take a little doing to get it out of here, but let's see what we can do. Okay, without hitting the ceiling, there's the trophy. I was able to get it in the car, but by a small margin. I was barely able to get it in there. I was able to put the base down in the footwell of the passenger seat, and the car ended up all the way by the footrest. Fortunately, I didn't have to take the roof off or anything like that to get it in. So that's how I got it home, and it worked out pretty well. And I've got some other pictures I'll share with you, of this particular event, with the trophy. But again, it was a pleasant surprise. I was really happy to walk away with it. I was definitely humbled by the whole thing. And considering that even though I kind of treat my car as a show car, I never really thought about competing with it. But I guess if they were going to go ahead and judge them, I was going to go ahead and let them do it. And if I'm fortunate enough to walk away with something, all the better. So now, to the order of business. Let's make our way over to the garage. So we're in the garage now. We're looking at the underside of the hatch, and this is where the lighting system is going to be installed. You can see that little trapezoidal area up top there. Now this is your battery pack, your rechargeable battery, and as you can see it has 3M tape on it, and that's going to mount on the underside in a little triangular area where the arrow is. And over to the right of it, that's where the control module is going to be mounted, where you see the arrow. And then of course we'll be routing our cables from that point. Now the LEDs are going to be mounted on either side, right behind those struts that you see. You see that one on the left side there. That's where the LEDs are going to go. And as I also demonstrated on the right side, that's where they're going to go as well. Now you see those 3 posts there adjacent to the window. Those posts have little nuts on them. We're going to be removing them with the 8mm socket. We also have another one where that arrow is. We have 4 total that are going to be removed, and that's going to be where the cables are going to be retained with the little black retainers that we'll be using to help mount our cables, throughout that area there. And you'll see the little black retainer right there. Just a quick look at it. So now we're going to prep the surface for the actual installation by rubbing it with alcohol, just to clean it and making sure that there's nothing that's going to prevent it from being installed. And then we're going to use this adhesion promoter. This is going to help it stick to the 3M tape. So as we apply the adhesion promoter to both sides for each of those 2 components that we talked about, and here they are. There's your battery pack, and believe me, this stuff really helps it stick. And then on the right side we have the control module, and we want to make sure we have some slack in that cable between them, because that's going to actually unplug from the battery, which is where you're going to actually plug in the charger. So these are holding very well. This isn't going to be a problem. There would be no problem or no worry about them falling off. And then we're going to go ahead and mount the cables to the posts there with the little retainers. And then I have this Gorilla Tape that I'm going to temporarily use on the left side to hold the cable on the underside of the trunk. I'm ultimately going to use some more adhesion promoter and some 3M tape to hold them in place, because it's going to color match better and it's not going to stand out like that clear tape does. So right here we're continuing to route the cables onto the posts with the retainers, and we're just going to fast forward through this a little bit so we don't waste too much time with that. It's pretty self-explanatory, and you really don't need the instructions, but it's a pretty easy step, and I want you to at least see it. And then once that's done, you can kind of see how it looks. You can see how the cables are routed and retained with the little retainers. Again, it's a nice clean look, and that'll take us to our next step, which is mounting the LEDs. Now we're going to route them around the corner there, and we're going to take them over behind the struts. And I'm just kind of holding it in place just to see how they're going to look, and just to do an eyeball test to see exactly where I want to put them. And then I'm going to go ahead and prep the surface with alcohol, just like I did the other area, just to make sure it's nice and clean. And we'll also do that on the right side. And then once we do that, I'm going to go ahead and place some masking tape as a guide. Now I chose to place the masking tape exactly one inch from the bend inside of that area. Now if you have to really kind of see it up close to see, but I'm basically giving it an inch, and that's where I'm going to mount my LEDs. I'm using the masking tape or the painter's tape as a guide, and you see I'm doing that on both sides. And then as we take a closer look at it, you can kind of see it's going to be mounted above the edges of that tape. So there's the left and the right, and there's an overall look, and that'll prepare us for the next step. Now I've already applied the adhesion promoter adjacent to the painter's tape, and I'm actually ready to install the LEDs themselves. Now, based on the eyeball test I did earlier, I know just where to begin my installation as far as toward the rear of the hatch. So I use that information to start where I'm going to do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be removing the backing as I work, as I apply it, as opposed to removing all the backing at one time and risk sticking the other end somewhere as I do it. And that'll help me get the application done without too many hitches along the way. And as you can see, this is a little taxing on my back here. I'm really bent backwards and over to the right. Not really natural for my spine, especially at my age. But, you know, we're working our way through it, and, you know, we're progressing quite well. And it looks like we're almost finished here as we move along. And then once I finish that, I'll remove the painter's tape, and it'll leave the LEDs where they need to be. I'm hoping it is straight, but, you know, we're doing the best we can with this. So there it is. And now we'll go ahead and proceed with the same process along the right side. Again, it's not too difficult. The hardest part about this is really just bending backwards and to the side to get a good view, and then also to get a good hold on everything in doing the placement. But overall, it's not too bad. So as we proceed on the right side, we'll just continue along the way. And it looks like we're almost done. And then we'll remove the masking tape on that side. So we're just checking our work, making sure everything is sticking properly, making sure that the LEDs are in place where they need to be. And so far everything looks good on the left side. And on the right side, it looks to be holding quite well. And then from there, we'll check our cable management. I'll be going back, like I mentioned earlier, and doing some permanent cable management to this area. And then we can test it to see if it works. We'll just hit the power button. And there it is. We've got light. Now, when you power it up, it temporarily lights it up in white. It looks purple in the video, but it's actually white. And then it shuts back off. But at least it lets us know that it's working properly. Now I've taken it to my telephone app where I've installed the app and just kind of playing with it a little bit, making sure everything works as far as the Bluetooth connection is concerned. And it looks like everything is working well there. And it looks like we have a successful installation. Oh yeah, I better put this down. Yeah, it was a pretty easy installation. It's something almost anyone could do. And I hope you got something out of this video. And if you like my video, please hit the like button. And if you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button. And hit the bell to be notified of upcoming videos. And definitely leave a comment to let me know what you think of my video. Do you have a C8 Corvette? And are you planning on putting LEDs into it, particularly in the engine compartment? And if you are, I hope this video was of help to you. So definitely let me know what you think. This is Ugly Mug signing out, and I'll look forward to seeing you very soon.
Yeah.